Hi, I'm Justin. Welcome to Justin Talks. This is the entertainment portion where I will be talking about television, and we are talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm, episodes 4 and 5, Running of the Bulls, as well as Thank You for Your Service. Now, Running with the Bulls, this was a great episode because we have Bryan Cranston, who plays Dr. Templeton, Dr. Lionel Templeton. He plays Larry's therapist. And so the episode starts off, he's in his chair, and Lionel's in his chair, and Larry realizes that the chairs, they don't match. And this leads to something that goes on throughout the episode. I thought this was a really great episode, very funny episode. A lot of funny things happened in it. We had when the session's over, he says, it's truffle season. Which Larry mistakenly, accidentally says to Cheryl that it's truffle season and that Dr. Templeton told him. And then he has this conversation with him that, there has been a breach of the doctor confidentiality in there. So, yeah, he kind of is upset with Larry. Another point of the episode, Richard Lewis, who comes back, and apparently he is now a painter. And he's got this big gallery, and he's wearing this very pretentious outfit. As you can see, he's a very pretentious artist. And he has this self-portrait, which looks like, I don't know, him from like 35 years ago. And he makes a joke. Larry makes a joke. He says, you should have him paint your self-portrait. Maybe he could paint me with hair. And Jeff laughs. It's really funny. Which goes back later into the episode because he goes to this restaurant and Richard is sitting right under his portrait. And, there's this big thing because Richard always gets there early. So Larry decides, I'm going to get there 20 minutes early. Well, he gets there 20 minutes early. He's already there. So he's been there apparently 30 minutes early. Richard beat him to the punch. And he gets in this big argument about, why did you beat me to it? And said, you know what? I'm going to beat you to it next time we have lunch. I'm going to be there, the night before, and I'm going to camp out, and I'll be here the second it opens. And Richard's like, oh, you know what? Well, they bought one of my paintings, so you know what? I'll be sleeping in the kitchen. So, really good banter between the two. Another thing, Larry, he's having a problem with his zipper. Apparently, the fly is too short, and he can't get his penis out. So Leon tells him that the hook pointed out and push down and it'll pop right out. Then he says, just go to this. He tells Dr. Templeton this, and he says the same thing, but he says, you know what, you could go to Barney's warehouse because they're having a sale. So he goes to Barney's and he does that, but he can't tell anyone who told him about the sale because of the doctor confidentiality patient agreement. So apparently Marty Funkhauser's nephew, who we saw in the previous episode, has died because he followed the prostitute that Larry had arranged for him. He fell in love with the prostitute and he ended up running with the Bulls and he got trampled and died. So there's this funeral and Marty's there. And Marty, Marty Funkhauser, he's always Mr. Solemn, always Mr. like, this is the most important moment of my life. Well, Larry gets there, he wants a seat, so he decides to bribe one of the ushers. And first he gives him a $5. He says, yeah, it's $5. So he ends up giving him a $20. Then he ends up doing it, saving him the seat. When he gets there, Richard has taken his seat. And he's like, what are you talking about? And Larry's making this huge noise while the funeral is going on. And, he's looking and he's like, is this seat saved? This seat saved? This seat saved? Making this noise. And he's like that because Richard took his seat. And he sits next to in back of this one woman. She's grieving and crying. Then, and he's like, please shut up. Go outside. Go outside. She's like, I'm sorry. I just can't do it. And this is all happening while Marty's giving this speech. And then this guy comes in with a beard who looks like, he could possibly be a terrorist or something. And he's got the fatwa on him. So he screams, "Fatwa! He's got a gun!" And they all run out of the theater, out of the where they're holding the funeral, trampling the thing. The picture falls with the nephew on the floor. Marty's on stage just trying to give his speech, and the guy comes and says, no, he's my friend. It's like, so he says, sorry. And this is another thing. Dr. Templeton doesn't want him to call him by his name, or call him by his first name, or talk to his wife. Apparently his wife hates Larry because she's friends with Cheryl. But Cheryl can call him Lionel. So, he's kind of, a little bit upset there with that. I have something else to say. But, yeah, that's pretty much the end. The episode ends with him finally going chair shopping with Dr. Templeton, played by Bryan Cranston, as I said before. And he goes in, and he's like, "Oh, that's a little steep." And he says, "Are you expecting me to pay for this chair?" And then he says, "Yeah, I believe our time is up, Mr. David." End episode. So Larry apparently is buying the chair, or he's leaving the session. And by the way, this is Cheryl's therapist. So, Running with the Bulls, once again, another good episode. I mean, I am thoroughly enjoying this season. This season has probably been one of my favorites since probably the 5th season. This is getting up to there. I don't know if it's 3rd season material yet, but it's pretty good. Now, I just watched twice the episode Thank You for Your Service. And this episode starts with Larry getting to the gate, and he's greeted by this guy Sal, who just won't stop talking and talking and talking. He finally just rolls his window up. He's still talking, lets him in. He's talking with everybody. He's apparently had golf with Richard Lewis and Jeff. And they're, talking, and, he's like, I got to reset this relationship. I can't do this. I can't do this. So, this guy comes over, and he shows him the picture of his kid, and Larry goes, yeah, it looks a beautiful kid, although he does look a slight Asian. Guy takes offense to it. He's like, why would you say that? Why would you say my kid looks like, I can't, he's like, take it back. And I'm like, well, I can't take it back, but I can't apologize for it. So Larry goes, well, I apologize for my remark, but your kid does look a little Asian. So, he insults the child of somebody he's just met. Then he meets a male. He gets his mail, and it's a woman he finds kind of attractive. He calls her a mailman, but she says the official term is mail carrier. Gets her to deliver a book for Richard Lewis, which is John Adams, who Richard Lewis apparently just read the front cover of because it's a big book, and he was really proud to have read this full book. But Larry gets it out of him that he really just read the flaps on the side. And he's just going to lie to everybody and tell people that he did read this book on John Adams, which he never actually read. So he gets the mail carrier to deliver the book to Richard. then he goes to, because Sammy is now getting married. And she's marrying Victor, who is a war guy. He was in Afghanistan. And Susie's there, and everything. And he comes in, he shakes everybody's hand, and everybody says, "Thank you for your service, thank you for your service." Larry shakes his hand and says, "Nice to meet you. How are you doing?" And he's just kind of like stunned because he didn't say thank you for your service. So he decides he has to leave, and Susie's like, You jerk, you didn't say thank you for your service." And he's like, "What? Oh, I'm supposed to thank everyone? I mean, what? 3 10?" So she says, he leaves, she's like, "Thank you for leaving." He leaves, he's really upset. Then he ends up taking out the mail carrier. So he goes with the mail carrier to the movies. And, she wants to put Milk Duds in the popcorn. And Larry's like, "What are you talking about? I don't want to have that, thing." So he does it anyways. He gets the thing. And, he's in the movie theater and he can't see her. And she's like, she's not calling to him. She's not calling to him. And, he's a little upset and, frustrated. He's like, you didn't call to me. And then finally he realizes at the end of the date, after they've, looks like she's going to invite him in, that maybe, we need to reset the relationship. Because this whole episode is about him resetting the relationship. He wants to reset it with the guy who opens the gate at the country club, and he wants to do it with this girl, and, she's kind of upset with this. And this leads to Larry not getting any mail. And he does this with the guy that opens the gate, and he takes complete offense to it. And later on in the episode, he comes back, and he won't let him in. Because from the comment that he made about the kid, the guy got back to one of the head guys at the club, and, he's like, "You will be expecting a letter soon." But he hasn't been getting his mails on time because he offended the mail carrier. And he didn't even have sex with her. So he's, upset about that, and he finally gets there, and the guy at the gate gives him a piece of his mind, so he can't get in there. Then he ends up taking this guy, the guy that he offended by not saying thank you for your service, to a war reenactment thing. Larry David and colonial garb. Let's let that sit for a minute. Larry David dressed up as a revolutionary colonial soldier, and he automatically makes himself a lieutenant, which is funny. We're realizing that the guy Sal is on the other side, the guy who offended. So he starts firing the cannon over and over again, and Victor starts having like a flashback to his war days, everything. And they get out of there, and, they have this dramatic music playing as he gets out of there, and they're back at the country club. And he says, "Hey, that's the guy, the Takayaka, I forget his last name, his name, the guy that, kicked him out, supposedly." And he sees there that he's making out with the guy who's the guy's girl, who he said at the beginning of the episode looked Asian. So apparently she's been sleeping with the Asian guy that's like the head of the country club. Says, "You know what? I'll expect the gate to be up," because he knows that. So they get there, and he's going to take Victor to go play golf or whatever, even though they're still in colonial outfits. And he sees red valet coats, and he starts having visions that they're colonial. So he starts running after them with his sword and everything. And, at the end of the episode, we see Larry, just beat in the colonial garb. And the woman shows up, says, "Hey, asshole, here's your mail." Hits him with the mail. He falls down, and the guy, Leon says, "Welcome home, soldier." End of episode. Great episode. It was done by Larry Charles also, who you may know did Borat and Religulous. Great director. Has done a lot of great, funny episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I gotta say, This Curb Your Enthusiasm season is probably been my favorite since season 5. I liked season 6. I liked season 7. I liked season 8. Season 9. This is Return to Glory. This is what I love. This is good stuff. This is great. This is a great season. Highly recommend it. So thank you for watching Justin Talks, Curb Your Enthusiasm. This is episode 4 of Justin Talks. And comments and suggestions would be great. And thank you for your service.